I'm Lisa. Welcome to my studio. I frequently get questions about what type of kiln someone should buy. So what kind of kiln is right for you? Well, a lot goes into deciding what kind of kiln to get. I want to say first and foremost that all of the kiln manufacturers have wonderful products. So I wouldn't necessarily pick by name. I would pick more by features and things that are important to you. So you have to narrow down what features do you want and what features are important to you. First and foremost, probably your biggest concern would be money. How much it's going to cost? Can you afford it? And space. Do you have space for the kiln? So take those two things into consideration. And also, do you want something that plugs directly into the wall? Or do you want to go into the expense of having an electrician come out and do special wiring for a larger kiln? I want to say that having a variety of kilns does not make another kiln obsolete. Having a small kiln doesn't make a big one obsolete. Having a big one doesn't make a small one obsolete. You can use both. Wonderful thing about a small kiln is you can do test firings. You can put small pieces in there. You can just do a little plate. You can do stuff quick and fast and easy without the pressure of trying to fill an entire kiln shelf. Larger kiln, of course, you can make bigger projects, bigger, more elaborate, more time consuming, more steps, more segments, and all that, more advanced projects. So it's really great if you could have both. Something with like a 10, 12, 14-inch interior, and then something maybe with a 24-inch interior. Another thing to consider is, how often you plan to use it, where you want to use it, how comfortable you are with doing your own firing guides. The smaller kilns generally have what we call a 3-key controller. 3-key means it has 3 buttons. They will frequently come pre-programmed, so you can get started right away. So you can have like a full fuse, tack, and a slump program already in there, maybe even a contour fuse. And so you can just get started very quickly and easily without having to learn a lot, push a lot of buttons, and you can start getting firing so you get a relationship with your kiln. That's really important because that's how you're going to gain confidence and trust and be able to do more larger, elaborate projects. The bigger kilns, oftentimes they just come with a bank where you enter your own programs. Now, the glass manufacturers supply firing guides for you. So you can go research on their websites. You also have access to my firing guides on my website that are trusted and tried and true for 40 years. They work great.
And free.
And they're free. Thank you, Vicki. And I'm sure other glass artists and there's other resources for firing guides as well. Like if you buy a certain kind of mold, oftentimes they'll have a firing guide on the website where that mold is manufactured. So you have to look and seek out your own information. Do your own research. That's important in so many things. Just because someone says something online doesn't mean it's necessarily true, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's true for you in your situation, in your studio, with your techniques, with your fabrication style, with what you want to make. It doesn't mean that information is accurate. Even what I'm saying, I'm suggesting that if you want to do something different, something new, something unique, do your own research. And then do some test pieces to figure out what works best and what results you're going to achieve by how you fabricate and approach your different projects. So back to kilns. All right, so small kilns are great. A lot of them have like a hinged lid, which is wonderful. They have nice sizable kiln shelves. They're easy to move because they're not too big or heavy. They work great for doing quick and fast and easy projects. They're great if you want to introduce new people to fusing, where you just want to get something in the kiln quickly and they're small and convenient. Larger kiln is great if you want to partner pieces. You want to do more than one piece at a time. You want to do maybe a series of 4 bowls. Bigger kiln is better than having to fire 4 times. Although my husband tells me that it costs about $5 per firing. Whether I'm doing a big kiln, a medium kiln, or a small kiln, he says it's about $5 per firing. Now, of course, that may be different tomorrow. It may be different depending upon where you live. But the point is, it's not a huge expense. Really, what it is more than anything is a large time allotment, because it takes about 24 hours for that kiln to fire up, do its job, cool down to room temperature. So you're basically, in my studio, it would take about 24 hours for that whole process to occur. So if I have 4 projects that I want to fire, I would have to do it 4 times in a small kiln or 1 time in a medium or larger kiln. So maybe that's the reason to get a larger one. I hear a lot of people say, I have a kiln, but I haven't used it. I have a kiln, I haven't opened the box. I have a kiln, I'm afraid to do my own firing guides. I'm here to tell you it's not that scary. You're going to make some mistakes. You're going to make some mistakes no matter how much time and effort you put into this, no matter how much you study and research, you're going to make some mistakes. You're going to get some stuff that's ugly. I'm here to tell you, some stuff comes out ugly. That's okay. You're going to learn something from every single firing. I promise you that. I'd like to show you a couple of my kilns I have here in the studio. Now, some of these, I don't even know if they're still manufactured. This over here is an even heat kiln. It has a 13-inch kiln shelf. Let's see if we can get this open. Oops, there we go. It has a nice interior size. It has a 13-inch round shelf. Look at the coils in the lid. This one only has coils in the lid, not in the sides, which is kind of cool. And if you turn the camera a little bit, Nikki, and look at it this way, it looks like a little person going, "Yay, you did it!" So I never feel like I'm alone in my studio because I've got this little hot guy over here, out here with me all the time. Now, something about these smaller kilns that might be a limitation is the depth. This kiln has like a 6-inch depth or something. Let's measure. It's a great kiln and a workhorse. Okay, it has a 6.5-inch kiln depth. And then you have to, when you work with when you work with a ceramic kiln shelf, you put the shelf on what was called kiln furniture, also known as kiln posts. You put the shelf on there so air can circulate underneath that shelf. So by the time you do that, the glass is probably 5 inches away from these coils. So you don't want your glass close to those coils when it's heating or the glass will break. So this kiln would be difficult to do something like a floral former and upside down vase in. It'd be difficult to do a really deep slump in because when the glass goes in the mold, it might be too close to those coils. This one over here, this is and this is an even heat kiln. This is a scut kiln. Now this one has a square interior, which is kind of nice. You can actually fit more projects in a square interior than you can in a round interior or a round shelf. Now this one has the coils in the lid as well. Some of these smaller kilns, the coils are just in the lid, that's fine. Coils can be in the lid or on the side, whatever works best for you or the kiln. But there again, I wouldn't really worry about where those coils are based on manufacturer. I would be more concerned about what size shelf do I want to work with? How deep do I want my kiln? Do I want to plug right into the wall? Do I, want bigger space? So don't really worry so much about those details because, as I said, every manufacturer makes phenomenally good kilns. Just about all of them are multi-generation family-run businesses. They know what they're doing. They do a great job. Plus, they've been making kilns for ceramics a lot longer than they have for glass. But they build these glass kilns with that same integrity and that same strength and that same materials. So ceramic kilns go much, much hotter and hold there much longer. So because we're going to a lower temperature and not staying there as hot, these kilns, will last a very, very long time in good condition. You might also consider purchasing a used kiln. Even if the controller is not what you want, you might be able to replace the controller and still be under the price of a brand new kiln. And if they're in this kind of condition, they'll work great for you. All right, over here, this is my one clamshell, my older one. And then this is my other clamshell. This one has about a 22-inch interior, about a 20-inch shelf, has a 13-inch depth. Coils are all in the lid, none in the sides. And this kiln is wonderful. The design keeps a lot of the heat in the lid. So if you want to do combing or any kind of manipulation on the glass, you bring the kiln shelf up so it's level with this base part, the skirt of the kiln, and then you can open it just a little bit and get in there with your rake and manipulate the glass without losing all your heat. So this design style is great for that. It gives me very even firing. Another cool thing about it is it has this fancy digital controller. I don't have it on right now. But the nice thing about this is you can plug in your own programs, and then you can access your programs. You can view them before you fire, and then you double check that you're doing. If you want to do full fuse, that's actually what's going to happen. And if you're going to do a slump, that's what's going to happen. And a tack fuse, that's what's going to happen. And in reality, you can view all of your programs in all of these kilns. So that's not really a make or break feature, and you should view them every time. Because even if I just full fused yesterday, I'm going to do the same, just hit the start button, you really should view it because that's when it gets you. That's when all of a sudden you think you're slumping and you're full fusing, and that's not good. that's too hot and the glass will melt and puddle in that mold. And you could potentially break the mold, so not good. All right, so this is my clamshell. And this kiln, if I can fill the shelf, I will. And this is all of these kilns are very reliable, and I trust them very much. Over here, this is my Big Blue. It's got some stuff on it right now. Big Blue has a 3 foot by 4 foot interior and a 13-inch depth. I make sinks in here. I can make 2 sinks at a time. And this was custom made for me by Denver Glass Machinery out in Colorado. And this kiln has a different controller again, but it retains 8 programs, and I can cycle through those, pull them up. I have a little cheat sheet for each of my kilns. You know, each of the kilns, because I have so many different manufacturers, I have a little cheat sheet that tells me, you know, if I want a full fuse, I go to my cheat sheet and tells me which number in that kiln to pull up and then start. So this kiln is great when I want to have a class and I need to fire 12 things at one time. This is my go-to. Everybody's project goes in today, everybody's project comes out fabulous tomorrow. So, but this is obviously not something that your average small studio is going to have. And I might also mention that I have evolved in kiln size, function, shape, style. I didn't just start with this one. I bought this one because I had a project that I required this size kiln, and that project paid for the kiln. Okay, so this wasn't the one I started with. This was actually years into my fusing. So let's go over here. This is my even heat oval, and this kiln has coils in the lid and in the side. So this is a little different from all the others that only have coils in the lid. Now this kiln, one of the drawbacks to it is the footprint that it takes. It takes up a lot of room in your studio. But the wonderful thing is it's very reliable. I can fit a lot of projects in here. I can fit a bunch of pieces. It has a 2 foot by 3 foot shelf size, which is great. The shelf that came with it, which is ceramic, is really heavy and hard to move in and out. And also it comes in 3 pieces, so it had seams, which you have to work around, which is very inconvenient. So I went ahead and cut a single fiberboard kiln shelf for this kiln that fills up the entire interior. And now I don't have to worry about the seams, and I don't have to worry about the weight. This comes out, I prime it, and then it goes back in. And I have multiple shelves, so I can cycle through them if this one's drying, needs time to dry. But so one drawback to this kiln is the footprint that it takes. The second one is it doesn't have a great depth. It has a shallower depth than my clamshell and my Big Blue. So I can't really do floral formers in here, or things like sinks where I need a lot of depth. So if you think you might want to do sinks, they have this same kiln. A lot of the manufacturers have the same oval style in a deeper version. You think you might want to do sinks or chandeliers or sconces or vases, I would suggest you get this kiln with the greater depth, the 13-inch depth. Then you can do all of that. So here again, you have to kind of fine-tune what you're looking to do with your kiln. And don't think you're going to have all those answers in the beginning. If you're not sure, just start with one of those medium size you plug into the wall and see if you even like it. You know, see if you even have the mental capacity to fire your own stuff and not freak out, because it is a little scary in the beginning. And then with that, you can move bigger later, or you can get smaller to do little jewelry pieces if you want to, or just do a ton of jewelry in a medium kiln, whatever. So, a little sideline here. Remember I said I kind of evolved into these kilns. My first kiln was an 18-inch octagon Olympic kiln that I bought from a store in Florida. I fired that thing for years, and I fired thousands, or maybe not thousands, hundreds of feet of glass through that kiln. Well then, at the time we had a studio, store, gallery, and we did a lot of commission work. And someone came in and said they would like to commission me to do these projects that were like 4 foot long, 2 foot high, and they wanted an oval in it painted with cowboys lassoing cows in fields. Well, my octagon wouldn't do it. That job paid for this kiln. That job is the reason I have this kiln. Now since then, of course, I've made thousands of things in this kiln, and it's paid for itself over and over and over, and it's very reliable and gives me great results. But I didn't, just start out with this one. So if you're not sure what to purchase, go ahead and get one that fits your studio size and space, fits your budget, and start practicing with it. Because once you start using a smaller kiln and you get confident with it, it's going to be no big deal to jump up. And you don't have to jump up this big. You certainly don't have to jump up as big as Big Blue, but you can jump up somewhere in between, or maybe get something that has a greater depth so you can do those deeper, taller projects. I hope you found this helpful and gives you some insight into your next kiln, your first kiln purchase, or your next kiln purchase, wherever you are in your creative journey. You're doing a great job. Keep going, keep moving forward. And thank you so much for subscribing, following, liking, commenting, sharing. We really appreciate when you do that. If you haven't already done that, go ahead and do it. We love it when you subscribe, follow, share, comment. Thank you very much. Also, become a premium video member. We would love to have you. We have new courses coming out all the time, and you have access to all those courses the minute you become a member. We would love to have you. So become a premium video member today, and until next time, happy fusing.